Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative, and you will notice that my table is quite full of a few different things. Today, what we're really focusing in on is trying out the Istoyo cordless resin mixer. I decided I wanted to try this more because when I do big projects and you're dealing with a lot of resin, I just thought it might be easier, more efficient to have an actual mixer, and I wanted to try them. I wanted to see, if they're worth the hype that they're given. I'm sure it's great that you don't have to, work your wrists and whatnot, but I actually find it kind of soothing, if you will, to do it. What we're going to do is, I've got this pumpkin. I guess I'm still sticking with Halloween themes. We're going to mix up resin for this, and we're going to try out the blender. I've got my colors picked out. What I want to do is I'm going to do the eyes, the nose, and the mouth in black by Let's Resin. For the stem, if you will, which isn't much of a stem, I'm going to do Dark Ocean Green by Eye Candy. I'm going to put some Fire Orange Eye Candy sort of spread sort of randomly on the inside of the mold, and then once the resin's mixed up, we're going to throw in some of this Mandarin Orange by Eye Candy, and it's a paste and it is extremely bright. I'm going to take the lid off so you can see just how bright. It's almost like a neon orange. Anyways, we're going to mix that up. We're going to use some of that, and we're going to make this guy. I don't think this is I'm not sure if it's a neon. I don't know if it's neon, glow in the dark. I don't know, and it might just be a really bright paste. I might have to look that up because I don't know what it falls under for the categories. Anyway, again, this isn't so much about the pumpkin as it is about using the mixer. I have opened up the box. I wanted to charge the mixing part, if you will, before I did my demonstration with this. I paid for this. This was not sent to me. So let's go through the parts first. Now, what I did find with this is, even though I've charged it up already, we're down to 2 lights on the machine. How long have I had this? Have I had this a couple of weeks? And I probably charged it a day or 2 after I got it. So it appears that it loses its charge as as it sits, which I don't think that's I think that's probably typical of most chargers, that they wear down after time if they're not used, as they would when they're being used. I have a USB cord. It's not very long, which to some people may be a big deal. To me, I don't care. And I guess if you're wanting to continue to use it, it would be nice to have a longer cord. And I marked on what this cord is because in the past, I have found that if you don't use the right cord with the right unit, it doesn't always charge. So that's something to keep in mind. What else did we get? Well, we obviously got the box. There are 4 mixing paddles. And obviously, as you can see, I've still got them in. I'm probably going to use, there's 2 big, 2 small. So here's the big, which would be great for those really large amounts of resin you're doing. We're not doing a large, so I can put those aside because I don't need them. And then we have the smaller mixers, and we're going to use one of these. I figure if I've done these pumpkins before, I don't remember how much resin I needed, but I'm going to mix up 100 ml, and if I have some left over, then as usual, I'll just find something else to put it into. We also get with this, so here's the box it came in, just so you can see what it looks like. And we'll throw that over there. And then we have the stand. And can you see that well? It has an adjustable arm, if you will, that goes up and down. Let me release that more. Goes all the way down like that. And I think all you're meant to do is slide it in like this. I thought maybe you could push it in, but I'm not sure that's the way to do it. I think it's just a matter of sliding it down like that. And I have the instructions, but it was more so about charging it, how to fit in the paddles, and the different speeds and whatnot of this. So that's more what that was about than, you know, sort of how it all goes together. So I just thought, just slide it down in like that. Now, we also get with this a silicone pad to go on top of this pad so that if, you know, when it's dripping, it drips onto this and not anywhere else, which I like. And so this arm kind of goes up and down. And we've got this. Now, is there a lot of weight to that? Not a ton. Not a ton. I would want to be paying attention to it while it was spinning. And I would definitely want to be doing it on my table here and not somewhere else, just because. So we have the paddle, we have this, and then for starting it, you hold the button for 2 seconds, and it starts. I don't know if you can hear that. And then you can hit it, short presses, to adjust the speed gear. And then it's supposed to be able to do as well a reverse on it. And I'm trying to figure out if that's what, yeah. So I think this middle button here does the reverse. And the AI, I'm not really sure what that's for. Does it tell me that? I'm going to turn this off now so I don't. Okay, so you know it's off because it'll beep. You hold it down. Again, a long press to turn it on, long press to turn it off. And I don't know if it says anything about the AI on here. So I'm not really sure what that's all about because I didn't see anything specific to that. And the other side, okay, so it is on here. This function is suitable for resin art beginners. Press and hold the power button for 2 seconds to turn on the machine, then press AI button to start automatic mixing. When AI mode is running, the LED light will flash. In AI mode, the resin mixer will automatically stir for 4 minutes and will stop automatically after 4 minutes with a beeping alert. To exit AI mode, press the AI button twice in a row to exit. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm not going to use the AI in this example. I'm just going to mix it and then turn it off when I've got my 4 minutes done. I usually, depending on the amount of resin, I usually do five minutes on average. If I have, you know, under 30, I probably do it for about 4 minutes. And if I, depending when I did my big skull, I did it for longer than the 5 minutes just because it needed to be done for longer than that. It talks about your precautions in here and how to. So, and one of the things they say when you're doing this, that you make sure that this is fully immersed in your cup before you turn it on, which I think is brilliant. And I would turn it off before I pulled it out as well. We don't need resin flying every which way. There are little buds on the side of these, and so they say you line those up and then you insert it. So let me see. So let me read these to make sure. To insert paddle and push in until secure. And then to remove it, you just pull it straight out. So we should just be able to push that in. Okay, that's in, like that. Let me move this out of the way and then pull it out. Okay, I should just be able to pull it. It said to pull it out. Just pull it out. To remove the paddle, please pull it straight out of the chuck. Okay, well, I almost thought there would have been a release on this. Okay, oops. Wow, that takes a ton of tugging. Just to let you know, I would have thought usually there's a piece you can push down to pull these out. I wouldn't have thought you'd have to pull on that hard. I get why they would want to make sure that's secure, but that takes a lot of pulling to get it out. So just be aware of that. So when you pull that out, you're going to want to make sure you're not, like, you've got it securely held. And I would make sure most of the resin was off this, just so that you're not flinging resin. Now, if you're somewhere it doesn't matter, fair, but I am somewhere that it matters, so I'm going to want to be careful with that. So let's bring this back up. I'm going to have to put this up probably all the way. I'm going to put up all the way for right now. I'm going to see what container I'm going to mix this in. So I'm going to get that all figured out. I will get my resin all figured out. I am going to, off camera, I'm just going to put my mica powders and whatnot on this. So again, green in the stem. I will do the eyes and the mouth first with black, and then I'll, clean up any residue from that, and then I'll put some orange in, and then that'll be done. So when we come back, we will be ready to mix our resin, and I'm thinking that when it comes to putting the eye candy paste in, I'm probably going to do that manually, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's just see, and it might be a really good test to do it, have it mix in the paste to see how that works out. But I might get that started before I actually let the machine take over. Anyway, I'm going to go away, get some things organized here, and then we'll come back. I'll see you in a bit. Well, I think I'm ready to carry on. I did my pumpkin. I tell you, the face is on this thing's going to come out pretty eerie. I mean, it looks like a scary pumpkin anyway, but the black mica powder just went all over the place. And I was going to try and clean it up, and that was going to be more of a wingding than it was worth. So, and needless to say, my pumpkin, well, who knows how it's going to turn out. I have got all my resin in here. I've put my part A, part B in. I stirred up the eye candy. It's a bit lumpy, and I don't know whether that's because it's been sitting too long. I've probably had this for about a year now, and obviously I'm not using tons of it. Anyway, so if there are a little bit of lumps and whatnot in my resin, I put that down to the fact that I just have not used the eye candy fast enough. So that's sort of where I'm going to leave that. Now, I've got this set like this. Obviously, we're not up high and we're up too high, which is fine, but I wanted to just sort of take you through the process as I go through the process. So let's lower this down now and get it into the resin. I don't know... as I do that, I don't think it's supposed to be right down at the bottom, but I'll put it pretty close to the bottom. And unscrew it some more so it really just goes down, 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 down. So there it's touching the bottom. I'm going to lift it up a bit, and I don't know if it should be like right on the bottom. So let's lift it up a bit so it's not right on the bottom of this. Tighten up the nut at the back. All right. I am going to put the timer on my computer once this gets going. And we're going to do it for, like I say, I usually do mine for about 5 minutes, so that's what we're going to focus in on. I want to make sure that I'm going to get it going first, and then we'll deal. So let's just turn this on. And I think I'm just going to let go at the speed it's going. I'm going to go start my clock while it's going. So we're probably going to have a few extra minutes. So we're going to do 5 for this. And let it spin. So one of the things they say about these are that they're supposed to reduce the number of bubbles you get in it, which would be brilliant because I don't have a bubble remover, and I don't know that I would get one. I've seen some people use them, and then it seems like there's still some micro bubbles in them. So I'm not 100% sure on them. I thought this might be cool because then I can do other things. However, me being the type of person I am, I'm not so sure I would leave it just to do on its own. But let's see how it works. It's shaking a little bit, which is fair. It's quiet. I mean, that's nice. It's not like a, I'm thinking a mixer, a cake mixer or something like that, but it's been a long time since I've used one of them, but they tend to be a bit louder, but not too bad. So I'm supposed to be able to, so where are we? Yeah, we're not even at, having gone 2 minutes. It's definitely not creating a ton of bubbles, which is kind of nice. So if that alleviates that, I'll be impressed. There are bubbles in there. I'm not going to lie. There are bubbles in there. So let's reverse this just for sake of argument. And I want to just be careful as I'm doing that. I'm kind of supporting this at the back as I'm going to do this because I don't want to. Okay, easy to turn it around, which is cool. I like that it's so quiet. I do like the quietness. Now, of course, I would recommend, and I'm going to do this, I want to go around the sides as well. Like, even though this is mixing it up really cool, like, I'm going to go in and go around the edges and the bottom of this, because that's what we do when we mix resin normally. So we're going to do that. And I'm not sure how close you'd want to get to the bottom. I think I'm fairly close on the bottom of this, but I would think you wouldn't want to be right at the bottom because it would scrape it. So we'll have to do some mixing manually. But I don't think I would want the speed any faster than what it's going. I think it's got it at a good speed. So let's reverse engineer this again. Might as well. I mean, I do that. But it is quiet. Not the bubbles. I did so, and just to let you know, the other thing I did do with this resin was I warmed it up a bit. When I had my bottles, when I was lifting them up, they felt a little cool. So I put them in a bit of a warm water bath for about 5 minutes while I cleaned up my my space around here. Again, still a bit of a mess, but that's okay. All part of being a creative. No matter what you do, it just gets messy. Just gets messy. So where are we in our time? We've got 1:29 left. I think what we'll do is and I'm hoping I've got a little something I can put over top of that. I would like to put something under that because I want to mix it up a little bit by hand once we get done our 5 minutes, so I can get the edges and so I can put some of my paste in here as well. And we'll get it to mix it. Might as well, right? Want to see how well this is going to do it. Because that's the one, I have to admit, the mica powders and the paste and whatnot, trying to mix them up and doing a good job, for me, can be a bit of a challenge sometimes. We're not dealing with mica powders in this one, but I will be curious to know how well it mixes the paste in. Up to anything interesting today? I kind of want to have some sort of conversation with you, and just dead air's fine. I don't have a problem with it sometimes. But my typical question, what are you up to? What are you doing? Have you had fun with mica powder like I've had fun with, oops, we're not in with this mica powder. I couldn't believe it. It just started going everywhere. And then I thought to myself, well, Natalie, maybe you should have done the orange before you did the black. I know, you're all thinking the same thing. I get it. Wow, there's not a lot of mica, but there's not a lot of bubbles in that. I like it for that reason alone right now. Okay, timer's done. Give me a second to shut that thing off. And hopefully, oh, okay, it's going to go off another time. I don't know what's with my timer. It likes to go off and then go off again. And I haven't quite figured out why. So we'll just let that keep spinning for another moment. It's not going to hurt it because we know we have time to work with the resin. And I'm just going to sit here patiently and wait for this timer to come up again and ding at me. And that should be good. All right, that's good. Okay, let's turn this off. Okay. Now, I'm thinking I want to take it out. I'm going to take this up. Okay, let's take this up. We'll let it drip a little bit. They talk about cleaning to wipe it down and then use a wet wipe on it or something. And then they mention about cleaning up with soap and water. Yeah, not fussy on that idea, but we'll see. I pretty much use baby wipes and paper towels to clean up everything. And then if I have sticky situations that I need to deal with, then I tend to use what am I thinking? Oh, I can't even think now. I use paper towels, and oh, alcohol. The isopropyl. Oh my gosh, just say alcohol, Natalie. It's easier, right? Okay. So seriously impressed. I don't know if you can see in there very well, but seriously impressed. There are not a ton of freaking bubbles in that. And I'm, being polite, but that's impressive. Woo, that's impressive. All right, let me just get this back in here. I couldn't do that. If I'd done that by hand, there'd be bubbles in there. I know that. And who knows, I may be introducing bubbles right now by stirring it, but that's impressive. Okay, so from that perspective, yeah, I'm impressed. So let me just clean this up a little bit as I introduce some bubbles, and I'm trying not to introduce too many, and maybe even if I do, they'll go away between now and spinning it again, but that's impressive. So right there, I'm impressed. So just give me a minute or two to do the sides and the bottom so we make sure we get it all mixed in. I think it's done a pretty good job though. I would definitely, and as far as your times go, I wouldn't cut back on the time using one of these mixers. I would stick with the same times that, you've been doing. I wouldn't change that. Okay, let's get some of this paste in. I'm gonna make it a fair chunk of orange in here because I want to see how well this mixes up. I'm going to get rid of that lid. That's just getting in the way of my life. Give me this. Okay. All right, let's make this orange, eh? This could be a neon for all I know. I've got some mica powder that I got along with this, and I think it's the same color. And it's got a bit of a grit to it too, so it may be the paste. Not that it's, like I say, it's not a big deal to me. And so a pumpkin has a little bit of grit. Pumpkins normally have sort of little bumps on them, so why can't mine? Absolutely no reason why I can't, Natalie. I spend way too much time on my own, can you tell? Okay, let me just get this off my stick here. And I don't want to put it on the side, I just want to get it in here. So we'll use that stick just to clean this off. Okay. No, I'm not gonna. I like to sing, but I'm not gonna sing for you. I need music if I'm gonna sing, like the sound of it. Okay, let's just put these off to the side, and I can clean them up while this is spinning again. So that's all I've done. I just got it in the bottom here. Let's lift this up and out. Oops, up and out. We'll put this back under. A little bit of legwork, I mean, when you're dealing with this, but that's okay. Let's get this set back in here. I'll mix what little resin's in the bottom of that back in here. Okay, so let's see what she does. Nope, right, hold it down. And we'll spin it back the other way. And so it's interesting, when I'm working with pastes and whatnot, I want to try and get that more into the center. So you can move it. So we're able to move the container around. Well, that's kind of cool. I never even thought about doing that, so we'll just do that. Okay, so before I distracted myself with moving that around, I find that when I mix paste in that I have to take a bit of time to do it because of the fact that I'm doing it by hand, and the way I'll call it the molecules break down into the resin, so it takes me a little bit more time to do it than what I think this is. This is kind of cool, people. And I'll get that resin mixed in. There's not a lot in the bottom of that. Let's turn it around as such. I kind of find it cool that, and I'm holding the base at the back here as I'm moving it. I wouldn't want to I'd want to hold it. And I want to be really careful because I don't want to damage the mixer. So let's get it back in the center. It's doing a pretty decent job, you know. I know, I get impressed by silly things like, and it's not silly actually, it's a really cool thing. If it does a better job of mixing than I can, then that's pretty impressive. Now, when it comes to doing the big, like a big amount, I'm not so sure how that's all going to work out for me, but it's a test I'm going to have to put it to. Now, I think the resin is warming up a little bit. Probably because we're playing with it, you know, and mixing it up so much, but that's... I really hope I have enough to fill up this mold too. That'll be a real annoyance if I don't, but I'll mix up extra off camera. I won't make you sit through that. Okay, let's turn this off. Okay. If my dog were down here, she wouldn't be for long. She hates the beep. All right. Let's do this. Take it out again. Gonna let it drip a little bit. We'll put this puppy back underneath. I think it's got sufficient. I mean, again, coloring, like how much color you put on something, I mean, that's totally up to you, right? That's something you've got to decide when it comes to coloring things. It's sort of, you know, wanting to do an example with this. All right. So there's our color. Pretty bright, eh? I need to get a paper towel. Actually, I'll just get a wet wipe. I want that for my sticks over here so I can wipe them off. Take this big one and we'll just, I'm not in camera, am I? Okay, let me move this back. All right. Now I do want to get off what's on that beater off, but not a bad job, guys. I'm impressed. I wouldn't have thought that it would reduce, you know, the air bubbles by that much. I really wouldn't have. That's pretty impressive. There's my orange. There's green underneath it, but not a bad color. Not a bad color. So let's, okay, I want to clean off my blender a little bit. Let me get myself organized with my headset. Okay. Oops. So again, wanting to be really careful, I'll use my, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to wipe this off. I'm not going to worry about this sort of excess that's on it to get into there. I just want to clean it off a little bit so I can take it and put it right down. I don't know how well I'm doing this in camera. That's kind of hard to do. But it's fairly clean for right now, so I'm just going to lay it down on the side here. We're going to get the rest of this resin out of the small pot here because we might as well use it. It's not a lot, but I don't want to waste it. Okay, so that's that done. That was easy. I'll just get it in here and mix it up a little bit. Okay. And I've got what looks like a line of red through it, but I don't know why that is, but anyway. All right. I'm impressed, guys. I'll try not to say that anymore. We'll go over sort of thoughts at the end once I've got the pumpkin poured. Just cleaning off my stir stick and pumpkin. Okay, keep your fingers crossed that I have enough resin here for this guy because I'm thinking I don't, but you know. I'm going to pour it slowly because I want to very carefully get some into that green. oh, what do you call it, the stem. Very carefully. I don't want any air bubble in that. Okay, so let's pour the rest and let's see how far we get to. I know I'm not going to have enough resin for this guy. I ain't close. I wonder if it's going to take, it needs 200. This is where you do something. So if I really wanted to, what I could do is, instead of making up more resin, is just like drop some stuff into it. I could take old resin pieces, you know, and drop them into, that might be what I do. Because I really don't want to make up any more resin. So I might just see what I've got that I can put into it that will fill it up as such, so that I don't have to make up any more resin. I mean, I got all kinds of resin pieces, so I definitely could do that. Might make it interesting. I also have like a lot of, I want to say, the glass pieces that I put in stuff. I had some plastic things I could put in it. And then I might just have to say, this is my piece. But I definitely have pieces I can put into it. So I think that's what I'm going to do, just to fill it up. Not sure what right now. Ooh, I know what I can put in it. So just bear with me as I clean this out. So of course, I'll do my best to, when I put those pieces in, not to, that may introduce air bubbles doing that. I'm looking at my pumpkin trying to figure out how many mils I should have made for this thing. I'm thinking 200 might be too much, but maybe 150, 160. Really don't know. All right. Let's just put that there like that. That's that done. Okay, we'll leave that for a second, and I will take care of that by adding something to it to fill it up, because like I said, I don't really want to make any more resin. So what do I think? I'm impressed by it. I have to admit, I was expecting some air bubbles. People have commented that no, you wouldn't necessarily get air bubbles, so it's nice that they weren't. I mean, I introduced some air bubbles to it. I think the other thing I like about it is it's very quiet, so that's very nice. The base maybe could be a bit more firm, more heavy, just because that's something that would make me feel a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, I like what it did. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. So I will definitely use it again, and eventually I'll probably get to the point where I feel comfortable leaving it on its own on my table, just for it to mix up while I'm off doing something else. Not too far off. I wouldn't go too far away from it, just because. But yeah, I have to say I'm impressed by it. So this has been a good test. I will bring you back when it's time to take my pumpkin out, so you can see how his face turned out. And I've got some beads over at the side that I can put into it. I also have some rocks, but I don't want to make them that heavy. I will put something into it to fill them up, and I will see you when it's time to take it out of the mold. I'll be back as soon as I can be. We are ready to take this, I'm going to say, creepy looking pumpkin out of the mold. I ended up putting some, I don't want to call them plastic stones type clear pieces in it. They're not stones, but there are plastic pieces I put in here. They weren't heavy enough to sink to the bottom. So I ended up throwing some rocks in the bottom, and I don't know if you can see it through the mold or not, but here they are. Because I wanted to sort of fill this up to the best of my ability, and I seriously didn't want to make any more resin. Call it being lazy, call it whatever you want, but I didn't want to make any more. So let's get this out, and let's see how it looks based on having used the mixer. I would like to point out that off camera, I had taken the paddle out when I was, you know, all said and done. And it actually, the second time around, came out much easier than it did the first time I pulled it out. So maybe it was just a fluke that the first time I was taking it out that it didn't. And that is, you know. But I have to admit, as I said earlier in my video, that like the way it worked, the fact how nicely it was mixing stuff, which would mix even better than what I could by hand, is impressive to me. Anyway, here's my scary looking pumpkin. I didn't get enough green in the tip, or it's the orange that started taking away from that, the stem. But you can see my rocks in here, which I don't mind actually. Does he sit flat? Not completely, but that's okay too. I had almost thought of putting some UV resin in here, and I might still, just to get it up to the top and flatten that out a little bit, but yeah, I'm not overly bothered. The mica powder on his eyes, I think I'll do something in his eye area just to make it look more, I don't know, whatever. So let's have a look around, because that's what this is really about. Now remember, I put mica powder on some of the inside, some fire orange on the inside of the mold as well. So that's what these sort of markings are on here. So if you're seeing that, don't think that has anything to do with the blending. It doesn't. It's because I had specifically put some mica powder on the mold before I poured my resin. So I want that to be known, because I don't want you thinking, well, the mixer didn't do a very good job. That's got nothing to do with the mixer. But overall, I mean, it looks pretty good. Now my other eyeglasses, let me just go grab them. I like to do a comparison with, because my other eyeglasses are more magnified and allow me to see all the better to see with, right? There we go. So I'm just wanting to look around it. There are some air bubbles down here at the bottom, but again, part of that, and I have them some in here, but that'll be because I dropped rocks in, and I think we talked a little bit about that if I was introducing anything, the possibility of air bubbles was there. I have a small one there, but you know, it looks good. It looks good. So am I impressed? Yeah, actually I am, because I wasn't sure about how well a blender would work. Mixer, blender, call it what you want. But I'm actually impressed by it. Would I do it for really large batches? Well, I guess I'm going to have to do a piece that takes a lot to see, because the base isn't very big. Again, I need to untangle myself. Let's bring this back over here. So this base isn't huge. And I guess if I wanted to, if I was going to put something bigger on there, and I'm trying to think. So, noise. Right? Like if we did something like this, that's not going to work properly. So I look at something this size, I'm thinking you're going to have to hold the mixer while it's being used, or take off the silicone mat. That sits in there a little bit better. And yeah, I could let it mix some of that up. So I think I'm going to have to put to test. Now, one test I do want to do, and I think it'll end up being a video, is where I use mica powder, because I'm very curious about how well it's going to mix a mica powder. My plan is to have that as one of my upcoming videos. So I'll have to find something else to make and work on making more resin so I don't run out. But yeah, so that's it. I am impressed. I wasn't sure I would be initially. I think the idea that you have a way of mixing it, your hands free. Again, I wouldn't leave it unattended. You do you. And I would like to see what it would do with something this size. So at some point I'll do that. But my next test is going to be the mica powder, just because I'm really curious to know how well it will actually mix in the mica powder, just because I sometimes have issues with it clumping up a little bit and not getting it all blended in. So we'll have to see. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful in regards to a resin mixer if you've thought about it. I'm liking this one. I know the different brands out there. I don't know anything about them other than the videos that I've watched other people do. So again, it's one of those things. You're going to have to make the decision for yourself. And if you do happen to get yourself a mixer, like anything else, I'd like to know what you think of it. And yeah, I'm gonna do, like I said, I'll do another video on the mica powder, and we will see where we end up. And I think I came to the conclusion that if I did this again, I probably need about 160 to 180 mils to fill this up. It's amazing how something that small takes that much resin. Anyway, and I think they'd be really cool with mixed mold. I want you to have a very great day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying tuned to my channel. My numbers, I guess I keep saying, they're growing, which I love. And I'm loving the comments. And I've got some regulars that are commenting, so that's beautiful. And if there's anybody new who's watching and you've got tips or tricks, trust me, I don't know it all. And I will never admit to knowing it all. And I love getting ideas from people because it gives me new ideas, potentially, for the videos I'm going to do in the future. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Take care, and bye for now.